Hello and welcome back to my thoughts on Ryusoulger so far as we get into episode 9. Episode 9 was something I was hoping we would get, and it looked like the previews were going to give it to us, and I'm glad we did, which is character focus for some of the people from the beginning of the show. So this episode was about Melto specifically, and next episode we're getting Asuna, so this has all made me very happy. But this episode was pretty good. I like how they managed to do the kind of weird, silly pocket dimension thing in a way that was interesting. It's something we've sort of done in Toku before, and I think with Melto at the core of it, it was a good environment to demonstrate exactly what sets him apart from the rest, because up to this point, you know, he was definitely probably the more intelligent and logical of like the main three especially, but I liked the emphasis on the like think before you act versus act before you think kind of thing. I didn't actually expect Asuna to be on him as much as Ko, but I guess when I think about it, she is more similar to Ko than Melto in that regard. But I thought it was a good look into his character. I like even towards the end of the episode when it was like time for him to like make the plan and talk about trusting everyone, they still were getting on him a little bit about like thinking too much, and he had to like yell at them like, hey, sometimes a plan is a smart thing. It was a little moment, but the fact that he had to assert himself in that moment, I thought was actually something that made it a little more powerful than if they had just been like, hey, you're right, man, sorry. And I like how it folded into an idea of also just trusting your companions, and it felt like two lessons in one that went together very well. You know, there is a balance between acting first and thinking first, which I think got across well, but also if, you know, a companion or a friend of yours is going to act first or think first, you know, you also have to be able to gauge how much you really trust them, and I think it did that very well. I think, you know, it felt like by the end of it, Melto was very confident in trusting his friends while also telling them, but in this situation, I know what we need to do more than you do. And that was cool. I thought Bamba being separate from everyone worked out fine. You know, he wasn't quite as present, but honestly, Ko and Melto were probably the only two who were most present anyway. Asuna and Toa kind of got thrown into their fantasies kind of quickly. A Minosaur being able to come from the negative emotions of a box is definitely different. I did not expect that to become a thing. I do like that it was a mimic. I'm a big D&D fan, so that was funny. I kind of wish it had gotten a full monster form. Like, that's one thing, is our fights were reused monsters because of the nature of Wonderland and all that, which was fine. But a fully realized humanoid mimic monster would have been kind of cool. I do wish... It's weird. I think this gave us another good insight into Weisel as a villain, but I also wish we'd gotten more of him in Creon. Because it was a good... Oh, Weisel is definitely relying on, like, the greed of humans to be their downfall. Like, it's a very specific kind of villain strategy that sort of plays into, you know, like, the last time forcing the alien princesses into that kind of, like, lie and betrayal thing. Like, he's very much a character who's going to make people turn on each other or people turn on themselves, and I like that. But I wish he'd just been in the episode more. And Creon, you know, we've been down a little Creon lately, and it was cool to see them together finally, but I would really like to have them properly, like, interact for a lengthy amount of time. I really want to see those personalities go together a little more. I thought everyone, in terms of their actual fantasies, you know, it fit who they were as characters. You know, they were kind of just funny little gags, like Asuna with the food and Ko flying into the fake ceiling. But, you know, it fit who they were. All of them being so impulsive and, like, going for it. You know, it's dumb of them, but it made sense. I thought all the Master Blue stuff was really nice. Having it be his actual soul, seemingly, show up was very nice. It made me happy just that Masters are showing up again. I really hope that continues. Like, I don't need Master Pink to necessarily show up in Asuna's episode that's coming up, but if down the road that can be a thing, I would enjoy that. From an action standpoint, you know, not a lot to note on the ground. You know, it was good and entertaining, but nothing too crazy. For the mech fight, though, we got Kishiryu Triken, which made me very happy. I'm very glad we are going to get those formations in. I was a little surprised, actually, that it was only the 3 from the beginning in there. Like, you know, we saw all 4 that we'd gotten so far using Tiger Lance, even though technically that's only Red and Green's mecha, but that little thing, I guess, just couldn't get Toa because he was asleep. But I liked that it did that kind of, like, elegant hand behind the back sword fighting style. The fight did feel a little short, and I wish we could have had a little more, but I did like the dual sword finisher and like the keyhole kind of stab with that very calculated like method of like the dimensions of the pocket dimension. Like that was a cool little way to get out of there. And hey, Bamba got to kill the source of a Minosaur for once because it was just a box, so that's something. It was a fun episode that I think you know, fulfilled its purpose of giving us insight into one specific character. You know, everything else about it was a little bit light and fluffy, but I do think there was some layers to it that were nicer. Again, I do think we did get a little better insight into the way Weisel is going to be as a villain, and it always helps establish the way the team works together when you have one character's focus in kind of opposition of the others for a bit, and they all kind of come to this place together. And I think it was good for Melto. You know, I think with these early characters, you have to be able to give them room to breathe beyond the kind of introductory, this is my personality, like bullet points. And I'm really looking forward to whatever they do with Asuna next. You know, I do hope we start getting some like bigger plot stuff. I think this episode being a heavy character focus for a character we haven't gotten focused yet is a good alternative, though. Like if this had just been pure filler that didn't like seem to further any of the characters or any of the plot, then I'd be a little annoyed. But it did manage to do something to flesh out the show, and that I think is what's important right now. You know, we have Asuna is about to get her episode, and then Dime Volcano is coming up right after that. So again, I'm curious about that and how they're going to handle toy introduction in the context of how they write the show. And then as I'm recording this, we've just gotten some on-set pictures of Gold, so that's exciting, and I'm looking forward to seeing how they fold him in. But I think overall a solid character episode, and I am looking forward to them finishing out the team essentially with Asuna's episode and seeing where we go from there. But with that, thank you so much for listening, and I will catch you for the next episode.